council meeting. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land known as First Nations territory, homeland of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, and Métis Nation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting agenda be amended as follows. 9C, Public Works Solar Array. Any questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Rodney?
Yes, I'm in favor, sir.
Okay. Well, your silence will indicate that you're in agreement.
Pardon me, sir?
Your silence will indicate that you are in agreement.
100%.
Anyway, moved by Councillor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that council accepts the regular agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Loughlin. Be it resolved that council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting. The regular council meeting of October 21st, 2019. Any questions, errors, omissions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the presentation by Staff Sergeant Terry Lucier from the Dauphin RCMP detachment. Staff Sergeant, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for making time for me. I'll try and keep this brief for you. I know you've probably got much more pressing issues to deal with than sit here and listen to me prattle.
Safety of the community is paramount.
Well, we like to believe so, and we like to work toward that for sure. As I stated last time I was here, our objectives for this year were offender management, which goes to safety and crime prevention, reduction of the crime reduction projects, traffic enforcement for safe roads. I'll get into that a little bit more, particularly with regard to impaired driving, and of course communication. So one of the reasons that I come here is so that we have an open and bilateral communication with you folks. So with our chronic and offender management checks, we managed to check our chronic offenders who are on court orders and probation orders, and that led to 7 new charges in this area, 5 charges for disobey court order, and 2 further charges of failed to comply with probation order. 3 of these offenders were remanded back into custody based on the new charges and the breach of their conditions. So if they're back in custody, of course, they can't be continuing to commit offenses. And really, the whole point to it is they follow the conditions and thereby ensure that they're not committing further offenses. And if they are, then they go back in custody. As you know, and I spoke briefly about last time, the Crime Reduction Unit, the West District Project Team, is up and running. We released our member on September 1st to the unit, so it's now comprised of 2 members, one from Winnipeg OSIS and one from Parkland, and their focus remains on drug trafficking and property crimes. And the Crime Reduction Unit has been very active and was very active throughout the month, including generating a great deal of intelligence and playing a key role in helping locate that fellow that escaped from the correctional facility here earlier in the year, if you remember that. So they played a key role in that and generated a lot of intelligence, which ultimately led to his capture by the folks out in St. Rose area. And but they were a key part of that. Provincial traffic and traffic enforcement has continued to be a tool that we've been leveraging in the detachment to increase our presence in the community. And so we investigated approximately 161 traffic incidents during July, August, and September, resulting in 51 charges through that period. Now, the goal, of course, is traffic safety, but a big part that for the awareness piece for folks is that they have to remember is that there's a whole lot more than just traffic enforcement going on when we're stopping vehicles. During those stops, every one of those stops is an investigation and is often a point where we locate stolen goods, drugs, and locate other warrants and things like that. So while I talk about traffic enforcement, there's a much bigger picture that's going on with that. So when we talk about 161 incidents, that's actually, those 161 are actually, I would say a lot of those are generated by concerns by the public. Over and above that 161, there's probably hundreds of other contacts that our members are having with the traveling public. So every one of those incidents are an opportunity to locate, like I said, stolen goods or anything like that. So they're very important to us. There were 11 impaired investigations, and of those, 3 charges were laid for criminal driving offenses for impaired driving in the area. As I mentioned, communication being very important to us, not just here with you folks, but with the greater community. So myself and Sergeant Paddock, along with our members, have been involved in the Child Abuse Committee, Housing First, Dauphin at Risk teams, DART, Care Committee, Community Health, and committees like the homeless projects, Dauphin Community Justice Committee, Echo Housing, Dauphin Ride, which were getting spooled up again for this holiday season. During this quarter, we have responded to 1,389 calls for service. In total, in the whole area, 1,119 of those being within the city of Dauphin. Those vary in for everything from provincial traffic to impaireds, break and enters, thefts, mischief, assaults, just to name a few, but in total 1,389 in total in the whole area. I wanted to highlight a little bit more that's going on with our project team. As I said, our member is now released from our schedule and working specifically with the project team. During the first week of September that he was there, he took some time to work on some of the stuff that he had going on in detachment, to button things up for court and things like that, in addition to what he was doing there. They've done 3 search warrants. Just in September alone, they've done 3 search warrants. I'm highlighting kind of the time when our member went over. Although one of those warrants was outside of the Dauphin area, it did concern someone who is very influential in the drug trade that's going on in the area, including here in Dauphin, and has connections to street gangs and outlaw motorcycle gangs, and there will be charges laid with that successful warrant. There was a Controlled Drugs and Substance Act search warrant that they did on a residence where they seized 17 grams of cocaine, cash, and paraphernalia. One individual has been charged in that. During surveillance, they have, on a couple of different occasions, encountered individuals who are wanted for a variety of warrants, including stolen vehicles, and another fellow who was wanted on a warrant for home invasion. So we're seeing success, like I said, outside of just what they're doing as well. In a second Cannabis Act search warrant, there was approximately $2,000 worth of illicit cannabis. So although cannabis has been legalized, there's still an illicit cannabis trade going on to meet demands and things like that. So $2,000 worth of illicit cannabis was seized under a Cannabis Act search warrant, and looks like maybe the tenants of that particular place may have been asked to vacate the residence because of that. During surveillance, the members became aware of a suspicious vehicle, and because of it, they stopped. Again, that greater presence in traffic stops led to cash and cocaine being seized during that stop. They also stopped another vehicle that was they found suspicious while doing some surveillance work. Turned out to be an impaired driver who refused to provide samples. So these are just some of the things that the team is doing to impact crime in the area. I like to think they're highly successful. I believe the work they're doing is incredible, considering it's just two of them. They've done a great deal of work, and they've done work that I think is very impactful for us. In addition to all of this, they've continued to submit intelligence reports to the RCMP National Databanks. So there's a greater picture going on here as well that will ultimately hopefully lead to some far more widely reaching actions going on. We, at present, if we count our member who is with the project team, we have 15 members on the ground here. 14 are still working in uniform in the detachment. Now, two of those members, of course, are still on paternity leave, but they will be returning in December and January, respectively. That will leave us one member short in the area, but we are still actively searching for someone for that position. We do have a couple of members who are pending transfer out of the area. The good news is that I've been on the phone quite regularly with our staffing in Winnipeg headquarters, and they have found two people to backfill those positions already, who've accepted both those people have accepted planning transfers to Dauphin and want to be here. So that's really nice. They're more senior, I believe. One individual's about 3 years, and the other approximately 6, if memory serves correctly. So that's a good position to be in. We We did take on, to fill one of the positions that we had short, we did take on one more new member from Depot Division. He just arrived about 3 weeks ago. So he's getting started up here. Of course, his field training is for the next 6 months. Over the last 18 to 24 months, we've actually taken approximately 6 new members from Depot Division. Of those, only 2 remain on field training. 3 counting the new one. Of the previous 6, only 2 remain, and they will be coming off that training in the next I think month. Both of them should be off. So that short-term pain is going to be our long-term gain, because of course those members are doing very well, and we're very happy with their progress. So. As you know, Grandview Detachment is still for sale, and the public service staff member that is there, their position is moving to Dauphin. So we will be looking to, that individual has declined to come with her position, so we will be looking to hire at some point a new PS in our office, and that'll bring our complete staff, counting the 3 municipal employees and our present PS staff, up to 5. When we can get that all sorted out, it's like everything else, it's just going to depend on how quickly we can get everything through the channels, but that will be coming. Pending any questions, that's my report.
Councillors have any questions? Councillor Larson?
Yes, thank you for all your information. I have actually a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. What is your response time, and has the train ever affected your response time that you can recall?
Response time is, I can't say, because it depends where we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. So generally in town, our response time is quick. Has the train ever, I can't say it never has, but since I've been here, I've not had any members come in and say to me, oh, I got stuck behind the train and it delayed me a great deal of time. So it's not something that members are bringing to my attention as a problem. So I would say if it has happened, it's not frequent. That's about the best answer I can give you, because it's not something I've been monitoring specifically.
And my second question is, what is your protocol for shoplifters?
Well, it depends on, again, a lot of things. I've learned lately that we're not getting called for all of the shoplifting. I'm not sure if people feel that they don't want to bother us with it or what have you, but we'd like to hear from them. The protocol is basically that they will be charged for theft under, and they go to court.
I just had a complaint from the co-op that they had 2 carts that were probably over $500 worth of stuff, and they said that there was no response from the RCMP. So they would have to tell me when it was called, what the situation was, and what they mean by no response. So I can't speak directly to that because I'm not aware of what
the circumstances would be. You'd have to give me, I'd have to know the details.
Okay, I'll get
It'd
into-
certainly be something I'd be willing to look into.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anybody, Deputy Mayor Bellemere?
I heard of a situation recently where a man woke up in the morning and he had less money in his wallet than he had the night before, and then he realized he had an alarm in the house, but it wasn't activated, but he could tell that someone had come into his house during the night and stolen money, so the door wasn't locked. So he thought, oh well, and his wife said, you need to phone the police. So what would you say in a situation like that?
I would say definitely call us. Yeah, absolutely. The reality is, we're not going to solve that. I'm not going to blow sunshine and say it's all rainbows and good stuff. The fact is that we don't know what we don't know, and if all of a sudden we see this as a recurrent problem, then it's time to put our thinking caps on and see if we can't figure out how to resolve it. But if we're never told, then we never get to the point where we can put those thinking caps on and try and come up with solutions. And that's often the problem when, if we're not notified of these things. The reality is, unless they had a camera in the house, or a neighbor maybe had a camera, the likelihood of, the probability of solving that theft is low. But we'd still really like to know. It's good to know. It helps us build stats. It helps us have the ability to analyze where crime is happening in the community and where we have to focus. And without those calls, we can't do that.
Okay, so for a person considering calling the police, what's the difference between calling the tips line as opposed to calling the office? Like, are there different expectations in terms of identification? How much, like, what's the difference for a person considering where to call and how to make that decision?
I guess it would depend on whether or not they feel they need to remain anonymous for some reason. When you call us directly, the expectation is that we're going to ask you your name, your date, birth date, where you live, things like that. Again, all of these things go toward helping us build a profile of where crime is happening, when crime is happening, things like that. The tips line, you can remain anonymous if you choose to, but you don't. Not all of the same information gets relayed necessarily. And it doesn't give us the opportunity, if you choose to remain anonymous, it doesn't give us the opportunity to follow up with you and ask those additional questions that may be helpful. So you may not end up, we may not end up with as clear a picture if we can't get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Just first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for your, I find that both yourself and Sergeant Paddock very open in regards to communication. I've noticed a lot more traffic stops, members in the schools playing soccer, Halloween. I know they've been in the nursery schools and schools, and I've had many positive comments, so thank you for that. My question is, and it's happened to myself, so I had somebody contact me Sunday, they have a lost bike, they have something that's it's not a 911 emergency, but it's something that sometimes they don't want to wait until Monday to report, and the bike isn't a good example, but something that's
Right.
non-emergent, but it's important.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the 911, but what would your suggestion be for that?
You can still call through you don't have to call directly to 911, you can call our emergency line. It'll still direct you to Winnipeg Telecoms because no one's in our office. And they will take the information from you. Be patient because it's maybe not a high urgency call. You might have to wait a few minutes to speak to an operator, but they'll take your information, they'll take that information down and they'll relay it to the members. And if it's not a high priority file, the members will call you once they're freed up from other things that they're doing, and they'll follow up with you as time permits.
Okay, and sorry, what is that number then? What's that non-emergent?
Oh boy, you would ask tough questions.
I call it,
I think it's 50-50, yeah, I was gonna look on my card because,
50-20, 62, 50-20.
That's the local.
Yeah, that's the local one.
that's the local one, that'll get you through to
And
the,
50-50 is the 24-hour.
yeah, the 50-50 number is the one you wanna call. 50-20 will get you through to the office, but if nobody happens to be in the office to grab the phone at that time, it'll just continue to ring. 50-50 will eventually transfer you to Winnipeg.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Staff Sergeant Terry, for your report. I'm glad to see that our investment in the officer is producing results and continued surveillance, and it'll certainly lessen the angst in our community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I welcome you to email me or call me with any of these concerns at any time. Communication with you folks is important to me because obviously your constituents are speaking to you, and sometimes they feel much more comfortable approaching you than they might me. So feel free to email me or call at any time.
So you've got your contact card?
I have some cards. I will make sure you have them before. I will leave some in the back here.
Thank you.
Okay?
And thank you for all of your report.
All right.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Delmayer, seconded by Councilor Stefano, be it resolved that all items listed under item 5 consent agenda be approved as follows and form part of these minutes. The first one, the action item, is the proclamation of Jersey Day. Whereas Rogers Hometown Hockey has been selected Dauphin as one of its 25 featured communities throughout the 2019-2020 season, National Hockey League season. And whereas Rogers Hometown Hockey Tour will stop in Dauphin on November 16th and 17th, bringing to us a weekend of live entertainment, music, NHL alumni, and free hockey-themed activities. And whereas this exciting weekend will be capped off with a live NHL broadcast hosted by Ron McLean and Tara Sloan from the Sportsnet mobile studio in front of our own very own CN station. And whereas the City of Dauphin thanks Rogers Hometown Hockey and its co-presenting partners, Hyundai Canada and Scotiabank, for helping to unite hockey fans across Canada. And whereas the City of Dauphin encourages one and all to wear their favorite jersey on Friday, November 15th, to celebrate sport, to welcome Rogers Hometown Hockey to our community, and to ignite the hockey frenzy that is sure to light up our city and place Dauphin on Canada's hockey map. Now therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do proclaim November 15th, 2019 as Jersey Day, dated at the City of Dauphin in the province of Manitoba, this 4th day of November, and it's signed by myself. So remember, put it on your cell phone, whatever, wear your jerseys. I've got about 6 of them, so if you're short, I'll
See ya.
see you.
See you later.
May have my name on it, but that's okay. To be it resolved, the council, as recommended by the mayor and city manager, filing items The AMM News Bulletin of October 25th, Member Advisories, Manitoba Hydrostorm Cleanup, Safety Information, Financial Costs from Storm Impacts, the FCM Asset Management Presentation, Mountain School Division, October 5th, News Digest of October 15th and the 28th, Volunteer Manitoba 37th Annual Volunteer Awards, E19 Police Emergency Communication Enhanced 911 Service Fee for 2020, Minister of Health, Seniors and Active Living on Pharmacare, Minister of Infrastructure, Main Street South Service Road, Manitoba Infrastructure, New Transportation Infrastructure Act, Fee Structure, Manitoba Justice Urban Policing Grant, and 2020 Games Request, as recommended by the Mayor and City Manager. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Bellmer.
It's not really a question, it's just a comment for the volunteer awards that I'm hearing an echo, I don't know if you guys are. Yeah. It's not just for council members, if there's someone who is watching this program and they would like to volunteer or recognize someone for being a volunteer, go to volunteermanitoba.ca and all the information is there. So certainly it's a nice way of saying thank you to someone who's doing a lot for your community, so someone may be interested in checking that out.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Did we vote on it? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Stakilo, seconded by Councilor Loughlin. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following corporate report for the November 4th meeting, that of the City Manager. City Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was hoping that October would slow down a little bit earlier, and it has, so that's great. In the last couple of weeks since our last meeting, I did have 3 vacation days and only attended, 4 meetings or so. But a few things took up a big chunk of our time. So in the Human Resources Department, I am pleased to announce that we have a new Economic Development Manager. His name is Brian Baker, and he's from Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland. Brian will start with the city on January 13th, 2020. He will bring with him 25 or so years of economic development experience, both from the provincial side as well as from municipal governments and economic development corporations. And in the last 2 weeks, and a lot earlier too, we've been spending a lot of hours preparing and negotiating with our local union, Canadian Union of Public Employees, or CUPE, Local 857. We have come to a tentative agreement on the terms, and that is going to a vote tonight for council in our confidential section. But it has been a good experience doing these negotiations, and I think that we have reached an agreement that both parties are okay with. The next thing that I talk about in my report is an accommodation or a hotel tax bylaw. So as council is aware, we have been discussing the opportunity of an accommodation tax for many years, and more so just in the last few months. This bylaw will be put to first reading tonight. So there has been a lot of deliberation and effort put into the creation of the bylaw. We did some comparisons to other communities in Manitoba that already have a bylaw, and we have been administration has been in consultation with the province regarding the details of the bylaw, certain clauses, and making sure that the wording is reflective, A, of what we want, and B, what the province sees as appropriate for an accommodation bylaw. So I know that the council and administration is proud of our community, and that we are always wanting to keep our community maintained and growing. And in the last several years, we've had recreation identified as something that we are maybe struggling with to keep properly funded. So this accommodation bylaw is intended to fund the ongoing maintenance and future capital, or to augment the funding for it, for recreation. And that is to enhance the quality of life of our residents, to make sure that the tourists are attracted here, and to make sure that from the economic development standpoint, that we have industry and companies wanting to expand or wanting to grow in our community. Once the bylaw is passed, administration will continue to work with the province to get their approval, and that is needed before we can actually implement the tax. And so we are anticipating that it is put in place for January 1st, 2020. And the last thing I talk about in my report is a program that is launching today as we speak, called Under One Roof. So the Crisis Prevention Task Force Committee has been in existence for just under 1 year. In this time, the group has identified that they want to address some social issues in Dauphin that include or are associated with poverty, homelessness, addiction, I think I wrote addition, but it's addiction, and food security. They have created a community service directory that helps residents and service providers find required services. Very interestingly enough, it was identified that there are a lot of opportunities for services in Dauphin, but not everybody knows about them, including core service providers. They don't know what's happening in the next office or the next building. So it's great to put this resource directory together. The group has also conducted a poverty simulation exercise that's sponsored by the United Way, and it helped participants understand the struggles that some people have to meet their basic daily obligations when having to achieve those through social service programs. And it was through those two exercises that it was identified repeatedly that many people are in need and are not receiving the services because their lifestyle or their available time does not align with a typical work schedule, which is like a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 type thing. So the group created a program. It's a pilot program, and it's called Under One Roof. And the Dauphin Herald did a great article in it last week. So it's starting tonight, November 4th. It's running from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It is at the United Church, and it's running for about 8 weeks. They've secured funding for it to run for 8 weeks. A hot meal and coffee and tea will be offered. A safe, warm, welcoming, non-judgmental space is offered for people to sit, congregate, discuss, not talk at all, whatever their feelings are that day. And then as the pilot program progresses and it's identified what some of the needs might be of the participants, other services may be offered. I do know that there's been flyers up all over town. There was a big article in the Herald last week, and there is, I think, postings on Facebook or social media about that. And I sent a message to Randy Daly, who is the chair of the Crisis Prevention Task Force, and he said there were people there right in front of the line waiting to get in. So that was great. And that is my report.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions of the City Manager? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Yell. Be it resolved that the finance accounts having been examined by council be hereby authorized and approved as follows. Check numbers 25556 to 25625. 70 checks for $170,839.74. There was no voided checks and no electronic payments. Any as information the following engineering department staff report for November 4th, that of the building inspector. Any questions on the report? Council Deputy Mayor Bellemare.
It's not a question, just a comment. I see there's a permit in there for Vermilion Growers for their warehouse foundation, so that's really good news. Good to see things moving forward there.
That was, yep, I agree with you very. Hopefully, and with that, probably a spring construction start. Any other questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councilor Riel. Be it resolved, the council accepts as information the minutes and reports of the following committees: the Dauphin and District Allied Arts Council, the executive minutes of August 26th and September 17th, general meeting of August 27th, building committee meetings of May 22nd, September 18th, the building committee report of September 24th, the Intermountain Conservation District annual report 2018-2019. Any questions? All the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Laughlin and seconded by Councillor Stakano, whereas social media is an effective way to communicate with residents, property owners, and visitors to the city of Dauphin, and whereas council wishes to continue to support current and accurate communications with the public, and social media is a tool that should be utilized, and whereas administration recommends implementing a social media policy to establish clear guidelines and responsibilities for the use of City of Dauphin social media accounts and communications, and be it resolved, the council accepts as information policy 3.5, social media policy, outlining the City of Dauphin's use of social media for corporate purposes, and further be it resolved that council approves policy 3.5, social media policy. Any questions of it? Call the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Riel, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts this information. Correspondence dated October 16th, 2019 from Wayne Newton of 414 Wellington Crescent, requesting a billing adjustment to the 2019 third quarter utility bill and providing information that the situation was not remedied by a licensed plumber. Further be it resolved that council accepts as information a memo dated October 31st from the Director of Public Works and Operations regarding the City of Dauphin's policy 6.1, providing for one-time 50% reduction to a utility customer's quarterly bill if they meet the terms set out by in the policy. One of them being the issue is rectified by a licensed plumber. Further be it resolved that council denies Mr. Newton's request for a billing adjustment for 414 Wellington Crescent for a 2019 third quarter billing in accordance with policy 6.1. Any questions? I have an individual that came to me and that it was just a small little adjustment to the something that was leaking, and he never noticed that he was a daily heard the water leaking, but Mr. Newton's son did. And it was corrected right away. And I feel that Mr. Newton should be given, it never required the use of a plumber. It was corrected, it was just something that was not shut off properly. And that's my input into this. I'm sorry it's a little late, but I should have brought it to the attention of the operations staff. Could we take? Okay. Does council approve the resolution? I'll call it question. Council approve the resolution for this matter?
So we're voting on it, we're not discussing it?
Can discuss it. Any discussion? From people, I submitted my viewpoint on this. Councilors have any other viewpoint?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
It's been the practice in the past to discuss these types of things in the 13s before it comes to council. It never really came straight to council without going to a 13 first. So is it too late to ask for a motion to table this and send it to 13s for this further discussion?
Okay, we'll table this to planning on priorities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Juba. Whereas the City of Dauphin, through a request for proposal, whereas the City of Dauphin, through request for proposal, awarded the construction of a 50-kilowatt solar installation at the city shops located at 22 Jackson Street for $169,075.20 to Sycamore Energy, Inc., with the understanding that the project would be completed as per Manitoba Hydro's time requirements to ensure the city qualifies for their incentive program. And whereas Sycamore Energy is not able to meet those timelines, be it resolved that council accepts this information, a memorandum dated November 4th from the Director of Public Works and Operations outlining the struggle the city has had with Sycamore Energy's inability to complete the construction of a solar system at the City of Dauphin shop within Manitoba Hydro's required timelines to qualify for their incentive program. Further be it resolved, the council agrees with the Director of Finance recommendation to seek alternate measures to complete this project. Further be it resolved, as per the termination clause in the contract between City of Dauphin and Sycamore Energy, that the City of Dauphin provides the contractor with written notice of its intention to immediately terminate the whole contract due to the contractor failing to make delivery of goods, materials, equipment, and/or services within the time specified, and failing to perform provisions, terms, and conditions of the contract within a reasonable time. And any questions of this? It's been a frustrating time for the operations. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by City of Dauphin put forth a request for proposals for the construction of a 50 kilowatt solar installation at the city shop located at 22 Jackson Street. Received several proposals and awarded the work to Sycamore Energy. And whereas the City of Dauphin will terminate the agreement with Sycamore Energy due to its inability to fulfill the contract, be it resolved, the council accepts this information, a memorandum dated November 4th from the Director of Public Works and Operations outlining a proposal from PowerTech Solar Inc. to provide the construction of a 50 kilowatt solar installation at the city shop located at 22 Jackson Street within the parameters and timeline as outlined by Manitoba Hydro. And further be it resolved that PowerTech's Solar Inc. proposal was compared to other proposal and received the request for the proposals process and was the lowest bid with an acceptable work proposal. Further be it resolved that council awards the construction of a 50 kilowatt solar installation at the city shop located at 22 Jackson Street to PowerTech Solar Inc. for a total of $161,163.52 with the condition that the project be completed as per Manitoba Hydro's requirements and timeline. And that's by the end of March, is that correct?
March 31st.
Finished. An extension to March 31st?
Well, yes, and originally it was October. So yeah, they've given us, but that, it means the entire project has to be done. So we have a very short time frame for a project that hasn't even started yet. So we have to get moving.
Any questions? Call the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Laughlin, seconded by Councilor Stakala, be it resolved that bylaw 08-2019 being the bylaw of the City of Dauphin for the purpose of imposing a tax on accommodation in order to support recreational facilities that reinforce economic development, tourism opportunities, and active living be now read for a first time. The city manager outlined key components of the bylaw. If approved, this reading will now go to the Manitoba Municipal Relations for approval. Any questions? Call the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Riel, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the invitations to the events listed below. The Dauphin and District Community Foundation Second Annual Grant Luncheon on November 13th. Mountain View School Division 2020-2021 preliminary budget consultation on November 18th. Honorable Myrna Preacher, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, opening of the second session of the 42nd Legislature on November 19th, 2019. The Office of Fire Commissioner, Fire Protection Workshops for elected officials and CAOs on November 22nd, December 13th, 2019, and March 18th, 2020. And the Remembrance Day service at Credit Union Place, November 11th, and placing of the wreath at the cenotaph here on Memorial Boulevard. And I've said I'd participate in the laying of the wreath on Memorial Boulevard.
I see the notice for the Dauphin District Community Luncheon. It doesn't have a time spelled out. I'm assuming it's
11:45.
11:45. Thank you.
Have tickets. Where is it?
8 Dauphin Hall.
It's at 8. Any other questions? Call the questions, all in favor? Now we move on to council privileges. Over there.
Wasn't here last time.
Oh.
I'll go.
Councilor Laughlin, he's all excited because the Kings have won 7 games in a row.
Points in 7th Street.
And it's the same as the Vancouver Canucks and all types of scenarios that develop from that, so we'll let him go first.
All right. My microphone works. Doesn't want to work. I can yell. Does yelling work?
Somebody just wait past their song.
You don't need it.
You got it.
Use your radio voice.
Okay. It's not as short as the past few weeks, but it's still relatively short. October 21st, I attended the regular council meeting here at City Hall. A couple days later, I attended the Communities in Bloom meeting once again here at City Hall, and then a few days after that, I attended the Planning and Priorities meeting here at City Hall. Didn't get a chance to go to it. Travel schedule kind of hindered that opportunity, but just want to say a big congratulations to Cam Avery and the Dauphin Fire Department on a successful firefighters ball this past weekend. Really hoping to go to the one next year. We, as just an organization from the Dauphin Kings standpoint, we make a point to avoid scheduling a game on this night so we can hopefully attend firefighters ball next year. This year we had a rescheduled game the day before, so we weren't able to do that. It was mentioned earlier, but I just again want to remind everyone of the November 11th service, Remembrance Day service at Dauphin Rec Services and Credit Union Place. Gets started at 10:45, and hard to believe this is the last meeting until hometown hockey, which is making me extremely stressed out just talking about it now, but looking forward to hometown hockey next weekend. Should be a fun time, and cool to see a former Dauphin King and Butch Goring come back to town, as well as Colton Orr, and we all know Bridget Lacquette as well, so it's going to be a fun weekend, and we hope to see a lot of people out of that event right in front of the CN station, and that does it for my report.
Thank you, Councilor Stefano.
Mine works straight. I'm not as loud as Councilor Laughlin, so I need the assistance. For myself, October 21st, regular council meeting. November 4th, today at lunch, actually had a economic development meeting. It was nice to get back around the table with all the like-minded economic development folks. It's been a while since we had our last meeting. It was discussed there that last meeting our former economic development manager was still there, so it has been a little while. And just again, a thanks to Steve Sobering for filling in as interim economic development manager. He's kind of kept the ball rolling on a number of projects and initiatives that the city has put forward. On November 2nd, I was in attendance for the firefighters ball, and like Councilor Laughlin, just congratulations to all the award recipients that received recognition that night. It was great to see a full house there. There was a lot of people in attendance, and just a great evening and a fun event. Just a follow-up on the hometown hockey that's coming up. I noticed there's a lot of volunteer opportunities. In Dauphin, there's no shortage of volunteer opportunities, but this is another one that is going to showcase the city on a national stage. So the more people that we can get out enjoying the event, volunteering, will just make it that much of a more success. And that ends my report.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you. October 21st, the regular council meeting, and of course on October 24th we had our Communities in Bloom meeting. October 28th and 29th and October 30th and November 1st was all involved with union negotiations. And also on October 28th I had the planning and priority meeting. I too attended the November 2nd Dauphin Fighters Ball, and I'd like to thank all the firefighters who keep our community safe and their families who support them. Special acknowledgement to the firefighter of the year with Mitch Canton. I'd also like to congratulate the Dauphin Clippers football team. Unfortunately, they lost to Nipawin. It was a tight score for, I believe it was 10-8 for Dauphin for the Murray Cup final. And I also want to congratulate the Dauphin Kings on their wins, 7. And also on November 7th, there will be Ag Society AGM at 7 p.m. at the Aspen Lodge. And I too will reiterate that the Remembrance Day services at Victoria taking place on November 11th. And I just wanted to make people aware that the province has launched an application process for youth climate advisors. I will be submitting, it's really good, they want to engage, wants to hear from youth 15 to 25 years. So I will leave this, and if anybody wants to put their name forward, they have a process and also an application form. So I will leave that here, and anybody can contact the city or go on the Manitoba government website. And it's basically province launches application process for youth climate advisors. So I think it's really important if we had somebody from our area going to that. And the last thing is I want to congratulate Peter Kingsley. He is now officially a QC, which means that he's receiving a comrade for designation and use of the title of Queen's Consul. And he's formerly was very involved in our Dauphin, and also was a firefighter as well for a number of years. So congratulations to him again, and that ends my report.
Councillor Juba.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to give an abbreviated councilor's privilege tonight, and I'll submit the rest of my privileges to Lisa soon. I too want to thank the organizers of the Roger Hometown Hockey. It's a great weekend, and it will put off on the map from coast to coast, and I want to thank all the organizers again for working so diligently and to get this community event excited. So I want to thank the new organizing committee of the Dauphin Christmas Parade of Lights. I'm excited about the new committee transitioning and taking over the parade, and I volunteered to help them. I'm looking for, we'll be hearing more about the parade coming up in the next council meeting. And I too, as well, attended the firefighters ball on this past Saturday evening. It was a great event, as mentioned, and congratulations to Fire Chief Cameron, all the fire department members for all their dedicated service to our community. And yes, as echoed before, go Kings go, they're turning it around, and maybe we'll have some playoff hockey in Dauphin this spring. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Juba. Deputy Mayor Bellemare.
Thank you. No pressure for playoff hockey. Okay, council work. I attended the last council meeting on the 21st and attended a luncheon on the 24th for the RBC Future Challenge. And we're waiting to make an announcement. Exciting thing happening, but we just wait for the go-ahead. October 28th, I chaired the P&P meeting, and on 4 days I prepared for and carried out collective bargaining with one of our QP unions, as well as with staff and Councillor Eilers. I attended a WAC board meeting on the 29th, and on the 31st I met the new commander of D Division for the RCMP. They had a gathering at the police headquarters building here, and certainly we see the police wanting to work with our community to meet people and get that message out. We want to work together, so I think that's a really good strategy for us to work together to deal with the big problems that we have with keeping everybody safe. Community events, attended a lunch meeting for Adopt a Work of Art. So at this time I'd like to put a call out. If you happen to have art that you no longer want in your home, please consider donating it to the Watson Arts Center, and we're gathering them up, and there's going to be a sale of these in early March, so you can even go and buy new stuff there. And art is pretty broad in definition, like pottery, quilting, watercolors, acrylics, sculpture, woodworking, and income tax receipts will be given for the donations. So this is one way that you can support our beautiful Watson Arts Center and get a new look in your house. October 26th, I attended the new movie club, and there's more on that later on. November 2nd, in true Dauphin style, there was lots to do, so I decided to do two things on one night. First of all, I attended the Firefighters Ball, and it's certainly an honor to attend this ball and to celebrate this very special group of community members. The hall was beautifully decorated, the food by Irving's was artfully prepared and served, the raffles were numerous thanks to the tremendous community support, and there were several meaningful awards that were also presented, so a very, very good evening. And next I went to Trivia Night at the WAC, which is a new event for our community. They had over 100 trivia buffs there competing for fun and bragging rights. We didn't come in first, but we did pretty good. The event, too, received a great deal of support from the community for their raffles. Thank you to the organizers. There were some people from the WAC and also the Ukrainian Festival. They've started a new fun and challenging event for the city of Dauphin. None of us knew the name of the last player in the NFL to wear a helmet, but we did know the name of our current mayor, Mr. Dauphin, and the only female mayor, Mrs. Jameson. A couple of events upcoming. We've already mentioned about the Community Foundation event that's holding a luncheon next week, and people who are interested in going, if you could see Kit at the foundation office here in City Hall to get your ticket, because we need numbers for our caterer. It's only $20, and so if you're a supporter of the Community Foundation and want to be part of this, we'd love to have you. Also on Saturday is a day called Endow Manitoba Day, and this is a special day where donations that are given to the foundation online, there's a certain amount of matching from the Winnipeg Foundation and the government of Manitoba. So for every $5 we get donated online on Saturday, we get $2 extra. So over the last 3 years, we've got $137,000 from givings on this special day. For people who don't want to give online on Saturday, they can drop a check off with Kit this week, and that would be part of our Endow Manitoba Day. Hockey Manitoba, a lot's been said already, including Jersey Day, so check social media for more information. And lastly, there is a new club in Dauphin, the Movie Lovers Club. So like this group on Facebook and show up at 10:30 a.m. for the next great movie. They are having one on November the 30th. And, you know, we've got a really good crowd out the first day, and it's kind of neat to do something that's a little bit different from the regular holiday style. And just one last point, kudos to the staff, actually, for the corner of Mountain and River Road. I think they did a really great job designing the concrete. There's little colors and lines, and there's that fancy little device to get a walk across the street there, and then, of course, there's that cul-de-sac that they put in with the pavement. It's interesting how the pavement just got in just before the snow flew. So, you know, it's a big change. It's a big improvement. It was very well done, and I want to say thank you to the city staff for all the work they did in planning and completing this job. And that concludes my report.
Just before I go on, what was that trivia question? The last person who spoke who wore a helmet?
Yeah, the last
Oh, they all wear a helmet.
No, but the last one to hold out and not wear a helmet, he would not wear a helmet. He was against that, so.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were asked who the holdout was.
Who was that?
I don't know. I mean, they said his name, and I don't remember. And if they ask me that question again, I'm not going to get it right then either. We wanted something more substantial, like what's the name of the junior A hockey team in Dauphin, Manitoba? We would have got that one.
Councillor Young, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My council privileges date back to October 7th, as I was working out of town for Elections Canada on October 21st for the federal election, and therefore had to miss our council meeting on the 21st. October 7th, I attended the regular council meeting here at City Hall. On October 16th and 17th, I attended the Canadian Municipal Network on Crime Prevention Annual General Meeting and Conference in Winnipeg. And I'm very excited to say that as of November 1st, the City of Dauphin has joined this network. So thank you for allowing me to be part of that. The CMNCP brings together Canadian municipalities from across the country to build municipal capacity for prevention, mobilize municipalities to reduce crime, victimization and fear of crime, and foster community safety and well-being through the development and sharing of knowledge, expertise, and vision. This group started in 2015, and now 40% of the Canadian population is represented by this organization. It also has a mandate to call upon all orders of government in Canada and the Canadian population to complement the efforts of police services, corrections, and the criminal justice system by offering a deeper concept of community safety and well-being that pivots on addressing causes, consequences of violence, and mobilizes all stakeholders and empowers community-led change. So we meet monthly by teleconference, and it's an excellent resource for our community. Since returning from the conference, I've met with Charlotte and about the vision that I have, and I then met with the RCMP with Staff Sergeant Terry Lucier and Sergeant Mark Paddock to discuss some crime prevention and public safety strategies. These will be brought forward at our next planning and priority meeting next week. October 28th, I attended the DART meeting at the Friendship Center. Their Restart program is really taking off, and that's excellent to see. I also attended the Planning and Priorities meeting at City Hall here on the 28th. November 1st, as mentioned, I attended the RCMP detachment and met with the police in regards to crime prevention and public safety initiatives, and then stayed to meet the commanding officer for D Division from Winnipeg. That was very positive. There was council and municipalities represented from the Parkland, and a very positive meeting. November 2nd, I attended the Firefighters Ball as well, and again, kudos to those who all serve selflessly for our community. I met, in the last few weeks, I met with one citizen about an animal control issue, one individual about a bylaw issue, two individuals about economic development, questions that they had. And I met with two individuals to discuss crime concerns they had in our community. As Charlotte mentioned, tonight to have the poster Under One Roof starts today. It's chili vegetable soup. If you have a chance to stop by from council on the way home, please do so. What I don't know if Charlotte mentioned, but Intermountain Leasing at cost has, they'll be doing 6 pickups in the community and then dropping people off and returning them home. That seemed to be one hurdle for people with young kids in the evening and with no transportation. So excellent to see. We've had so much positive donation, either through time or monetary, from the community, and thank you to everyone there. It's excellent to see. Let's see. The Friendship Center Food for Thought program put out a plea on the weekend there. They supply all students in Dauphin lunch 2 times a week, and it is in financial need of donation. They've had to reduce the number of weeks the program operates due to lack of funding. They put out a plea to all parents and residents, if they can, to please donate $20 if they are able to the Food for Thought program. All meals are prepared and delivered by volunteers. So if you're able to, please consider a contribution to this program and contact Gail Welburn at 638-5707 at the Friendship Center. And here it ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cameron.
So
on October 21st, I attended the regular council meeting. I attended early morning jazz band practices on October 22nd, 23rd, and 30th, 23rd, 29th, and 30th. We're preparing for our Christmas band concert in December. On October 31st, I attended a DRCSS pep rally and participated in the Halloween activities. I've been attending driver's ed classes on Tuesday nights. Last Tuesday, I passed my learner's test, so I will be a new driver on the road this week. My mom has been dreading this day, but here it is. I have worked 8 shifts at the Dauphin Co-op food store in the last 2 weeks, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Well, it's, we have a lot of activity going on in our community, and thank you to the councillors that are participating, whether in committee or volunteering in there at these events. On October 24th, we had a short handyman meeting here at City Hall, and it's gradually operationally issues have been resolved, and we're having a meeting on the 18th to finally resolve some operational issues, but things look very promising for the operation of the band event. On October 27th to the 31st, had the privilege of attending the Livable Communities Conference in Victoria. I'll have a full report next meeting, but generally very, very informative conference, and we as a community are way ahead of some communities, especially in the prairies. The BC communities are light years ahead of us in terms of climate action. Attended a mayor's, the first day was strictly all the mayors that came to the meeting, and the mayor sent out what we call the Victoria Call to Action in highlighting 6 points to ensure that all actions we take are done through a lens of decolonization, health and well-being, equity and inclusion, racial and social justice, and ecological integrity, empower and resource our communities, and use our role as leaders to create opportunities for education, connection, belonging, and community building, enrich the fabric of our communities by building towns and cities that create a sense of place and strong connection to neighborhoods, leverage the interconnection of issues and for opportunities to solve complex challenges that generate multiple benefits and solutions, seize the pockets of brilliance in our community coming from youth and residents as a bottom-up solution to our collective challenges, and 6, invest our collective resources to deliver short and long-term solutions that have the greatest impact and to help us go further faster. One predominant theme or issue theme that came out, that climate action has to be grassroots generated, and also to depoliticize climate action, because there's one group going this way and one group going that way. We want to the problem is can't wait. We can't sit back and wait for 2050 or whatever. We have to start our actions in our communities. We have to, the communities have to be the leaders in climate action. So it was a very, very good conference in 3 days, and my head is still not swelling, but
Processing.
processing all the information, and hopefully this conference will be held in Winnipeg next year. November 4th, I attended the economic development meeting here. Actually, I'm sure everybody noticed, but the 3rd Street Southwest is now open by the hospital. No more blockades there. And really getting excited about hometown hockey on the November 16th and 17th, and should be a great time in our city. Remembrance Day service on Monday, Credit Union Place. And thanks to CN. I wrote a letter regarding the lengthy delays that we're experiencing in our community by called the pipeline trains. But, you know, there were stoppages of 30 minutes and 25 minutes. And that action, the letter was sent to the public relations people, and they forwarded it to the superintendent, and he immediately changed operating protocols on the CN line. They go right through now, and the crew change is someplace way out in the west there someplace. So thank you to CN for their fast action on this sort of community issue that has plagued us this year. And that ends my report. Moved by Councillor Juba and seconded by Councillor Yale. Be it resolved that the council